You needed someone to hold you, to check in, to sit beside you, to say, I see you, I'm here, you're not alone. But instead, you didn't text, you didn't call, you didn't say a word. You shut down, you smiled, you told them, I'm just tired. And you pulled away, even though deep down, you were screaming, please don't leave, please come closer, please ask again. But they didn't. And it confirmed the lie you already believed. No one really cares. This is one of the most painful patterns in depression. We push away the exact people we want close, and then we hate ourselves for it. You isolate, then blame yourself for being lonely. You avoid messages, then feel rejected when no one follows up. You say, I'm fine, then cry because no one sees through the lie, and the cycle repeats. Here's what most people don't understand. Pushing people away isn't about not needing love. It's about not believing you're allowed to receive it. There's a quiet voice inside you that says, don't burden them. They'll think you're too much. They'll leave once they know the real you. They're only here because they feel sorry for you. So instead of risking rejection, you reject yourself first. You disappear. Not because you don't want love, but because love feels dangerous. Let's pause here and say something honest. Purple circle, you don't want to be alone. Purple circle, you don't want to isolate. Purple circle, you don't want to pretend everything's fine. But vulnerability feels impossible. So silence becomes your shield. You may have said things like, no one would understand anyway. They have their own problems. I don't want to be seen like this. If they cared, they'd know something's wrong. But here's the truth. Sometimes we want them to fight harder to reach us, because we've already given up on ourselves. If you're reading this and thinking, this is me, know that it's not your fault. This isn't weakness. This isn't attention seeking. This isn't manipulation. This is what happens when your nervous system has been wired by emotional abandonment, unreliable relationships, being told to get over it, feeling invisible when you are in pain. Now closeness feels unsafe, support feels suspicious, and asking for help feels like exposure. But here's the thing. You can't heal in isolation. You weren't meant to. And no matter how convincing the voice in your head is, you are still worthy of being loved, even in your silence. In the next topic, we'll dive into why this pattern happens neurologically, emotionally, and relationally, especially in women with depression, and how your past shaped the way you protect yourself today. You don't push people away because you don't care. You do it because you care and you're scared they won't. Why you learned to disconnect, the roots of emotional withdrawal. You weren't born pushing people away. You learned it. And the lesson didn't come from textbooks. It came from experience, from being let down, from being invisible when you needed to be held, from trusting people and being hurt for it. Let's break down why this pattern forms, especially in women living with depression and emotional trauma. 1. Childhood, when asking for comfort felt risky. If you grew up in a home where emotions were dismissed, mocked, or punished, you learned it's safer to deal with it alone. Maybe you were told, don't be dramatic. You're too sensitive. Other people have it worse. Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. So your nervous system made a decision. Don't reach out. Don't express. Don't need. What started as protection became your personality. 2. Shame as a defense mechanism. When women are overwhelmed emotionally, they often internalize the belief, there's something wrong with me. If I show this, they'll think I'm crazy. They'll leave when they see how bad it is. So instead of asking for love, you hide your hurt, not because you don't want connection, but because shame tells you that you don't deserve it. And shame is silent. It doesn't shout. It just slowly makes you disappear. 3. The brain in survival mode. When your brain perceives emotional threat like rejection, judgment, or abandonment, it activates your fight, flight, or freeze response. For many women, the dominant survival pattern is emotional freeze or fawn. You go silent. You minimize your feelings. You become overly accommodating. You shut down before someone else can shut you out. The amygdala, your brain's alarm system, is trying to keep you safe. But it's also blocking vulnerability, the one thing that heals. 4. Relational trauma. If you've ever opened your heart and been met with betrayal, abandonment, emotional distance, or indifference, your body remembers. Now, every time someone gets close, your subconscious whispers, "Don't let them in. They'll leave like the others." So you sabotage connection before it can hurt you. Not out of malice, but because your nervous system no longer trusts love to stay. 5. Depression's lie. You're a burden. Depression doesn't just drain your energy. It distorts your perception. It convinces you that people don't really care. You're too much. You'll just ruin the moment. You're better off alone. So instead of reaching out, you go silent. And every time someone doesn't check in, it confirms the lie your mind already believed. Light bulb the big picture. You don't isolate because you're antisocial. You isolate because you've been taught that needing love is dangerous. But what protected you before is now imprisoning you. And the worst part, you're not just hiding from others. You're hiding from yourself. In the next topic, we'll share the story of someone who lived behind a wall for years, until she realized the wall wasn't keeping others out. It was keeping her in. You deserve connection. Even if you were taught to fear it, the wall she built to protect herself, and how it became her prison. Her name was Marissa. She was strong, smart, the kind of woman who held everything together. The one who said, "I got it," even when her world was falling apart. People admired her. They called her resilient. But no one knew that behind closed doors, Marissa was crumbling. Every time she felt overwhelmed, she didn't reach out. She disappeared, ignored messages, smiled through meetings, changed the subject when someone asked, "Are you okay?" Went quiet for days, even with close friends. Not because she didn't care, but because she didn't know how to let anyone in. She had learned early, crying didn't get comfort. It got silence. Vulnerability didn't get love. It got punishment. So she built a wall. And it worked. For a while. She looked unbreakable, untouchable, self-sufficient. But inside, she was screaming, longing for someone to see past the mask, to ask again, to push through, to say, "I know you're not okay, and I'm not going anywhere." But no one did, because her silence was convincing, because her strength was performative, because her fear had become routine. One night, Marissa sat on her bathroom floor, phone in hand, thumb hovering over a name in her contacts. She didn't text. She didn't call. She told herself, "They probably have better things to do. I don't want to ruin their night. They'll think I'm too much." And she cried, alone. Not because no one cared, but because she believed they wouldn't want to. That belief didn't come from nowhere. It came from years of unmet emotional needs. From trust broken in childhood. From moments when she was most vulnerable and got nothing in return. This is what self-protection looks like in depression. You silence yourself before anyone else can. You pretend you're okay because you're scared they won't stay if they see the truth. You reject support before it's offered because rejection feels inevitable. And the cost? Loneliness, so deep it doesn't feel like sadness. It feels like nothing. Friendships that fade without a fight. a heart that starts to believe it doesn't deserve to be held. But here's what changed everything for Marissa. One day, a friend said, "You always disappear when you're hurting, but I want to be there for you if you'll let me." It broke her, not because it was perfect, but because it was real. So she did something terrifying. She texted, "I'm not okay. I don't know how to talk about it, but I don't want to be alone tonight." And for the first time in years, she wasn't. Healing didn't happen in one conversation, but that moment cracked the wall. She started replying, started showing up, started saying, "Actually, I'm struggling," when someone asked. She stopped pretending silence was strength, and started learning that true strength is being seen and staying anyway. If you've been building walls to survive, if you've been disappearing when you need people the most, please know, your silence is not who you are. It's who you became to survive. And it's okay to outgrow that now. In the next topic, I'll show you real practical ways to begin reconnecting with yourself, with others, and with the parts of you that are still scared of being seen. You are not a burden. You are a human, worthy of connection. How to let people in without feeling unsafe. You want connection. You crave it, but your body flinches every time someone gets too close. So let's start small, gentle, real, because you don't need to open all the way at once. You just need to stop running from the door. Here are the first steps back into connection, without guilt, without pressure. Counterclockwise arrows. Button 1. Name the pattern out loud. Next time you feel the urge to withdraw, say to yourself, "This is the part of me that's scared to be seen. I want closeness, but I'm afraid of the pain it might bring. I'm pushing them away because I want them to pull closer." Naming creates awareness. Awareness breaks the trance of silence, of self-abandonment. Speech balloon 2. Send a micro message. You don't have to pour your soul out. Start with a breadcrumb. "Hey, I've been a little quiet. Can we talk soon? I'm going through a hard patch. Just wanted to say hi. I don't know what I need, but I think I need to not be alone right now." You're not asking for a miracle. You're inviting presence. And most people will meet you there if you give them a chance. 3. Practice letting yourself be seen safely. Find one person, one space, one moment, and say something real. "I've been feeling disconnected. I always pretend I'm okay, but I'm really not. It's hard for me to ask for support, but I want to try." Start with 10% honesty, then 20%, then more. Let your nervous system relearn this truth. You can be real and still be loved. Writing hand 4. Use this reflection prompt every night. Before bed, ask yourself, "Did I let myself be seen today? Where did I choose silence instead of truth? What scared me most about being open, right without filters?" This isn't about judgment. It's about pattern interruption. You're catching the silence before it becomes identity. Woman in lotus position guided visualization. You're not alone anymore. Close your eyes. Take a deep, slow breath. Imagine yourself standing in front of a heavy door. This door is your wall, made of years of silence, fear, protection. Now picture your hand reaching for the handle. You don't open it all the way, just enough to let light in, just enough to hear footsteps on the other side. Someone is there, not to fix you, not to judge you, just to sit beside you and say, "You don't have to do this alone anymore." Breathe again. Let that presence settle in your body. Let it touch the places that have felt invisible for too long. Whisper to yourself, "I am safe to connect. I don't have to disappear to feel protected. My silence is not my strength, my tristesse." And slowly let the door stay open. You don't have to tear your walls down overnight, but you can stop reinforcing them. Brick by brick, breath by breath. You can rebuild a life where closeness doesn't feel like a threat, but like home. If this video gave you something to think about, something to feel, or something to try, like it, share it, and subscribe for more healing content made just for you. You were never meant to heal alone. And now you don't have to.